Will momentum be relevant in combat?
It may not be pretty. Let's just say that.
Yes.
You may get your friend over the wall, but then he may
Fall
have to
damage.
respawn.
Yes, momentum will be relevant in combat.
Yes.
Already kind of is.
Yeah. Already kind of is. And,
You cannot turn on a dime in the game right now.
Yeah. In terms of, can a lumbering pile of frosty blue beef break through a wall of lubricants?
Possibly.
Yeah, that is definitely in the plans.
I think penetrates the word you're looking for.
Which city is the hatchery server hosted? Presently, it is in Northern Virginia, along with us. So not really, but it's on a really fast backbone connection. So hopefully the latency to the rest of you is decent.
Can projectiles be intercepted? Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So as I mentioned in the video, if you shoot a fireball and somebody shoots a water ball and they collide, there's going to be an interaction. That was covered in the magic effect discussion.
Or if I shoot a fireball at Andrew and Rob's in the way, Rob's taking a fireball to the dome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there may possibly be spectral attack type of thing that defies collisions, but again, that would be the special case. The default case is it's a real thing in the real world.
Right.
We are actually doing the physics of magic.
Yeah, magic obeys and defies the laws of physics of both.
As we choose.
It knows about them, it just doesn't care.
Exactly.
Let's see, will siege engines scar the landscape? We expect not in a permanent way necessarily. The nature of the game is that, there's a lot of war, and if all of these things behaved exactly like they do in the real world, then there wouldn't be a world by a month after launch.
Optimist. If we had permanent terrain damage, again, I know you guys would be just digging holes all over the place, and not filling them in. So we're definitely going to, it's going to be what's best for the game. Will there be the ability? Probably. But will that be a permanent feature? Again, that's going to be something we're going to, have to figure out. Is it going to be fun for the game?
So, can you reinforce front lines with heavy races in the back to stop large objects like caravans or charges? Yes, that's an easy thing. Although having a charge attack with a caravan, I mean, I'm seeing gypsy wagon pulled by an ox, and it has mass, but does it have tremendous speed or momentum?
It's going to slowly push through your wall. Somebody asked about walls having collision. The building system isn't really mature enough to be talking about that, but it's certainly a possibility a wall could fall on someone and be subject to physics just like everything else. It is within the realm of possibility.
Will a wall of tanks be able to box in an enemy to prevent them from moving? When collisions first went in, on the hatchery server, when we let the internal testers in, surrounding the spawn point was a ring of
blue beef.
Yeah, blue beef. The city, everyone from City State was just in a ring around there, and
as soon as somebody spawned, we put the smackdown on them.
Yeah, every Arthurian, every Tuatha, they just were stuck in there, and we just kept beating on them over and over as they would come in. So, and that was how we announced collision to the player-to-player collision was in to our players.
Right. Well, as I said, we know you people because we were your people. So we're griefers too sometimes.
Will projectiles reflect off of shields into other enemies around your target? I certainly hope that there will be some of that. I'm not going
possibly.
I'm not going to that. It's a very broad question, but again, it does get into the this is emergent. This is dynamic.
Well, one of the things we talk about for Magic would be if you shoot a fireball and somebody else shoots a wind ball. If you hit an enemy, if your wind ball hits an enemy fireball, it could deflect it into a direction that into another direction. So this is kind of some of the interaction we want to have with Magic. We want spellcasting to be strategic. We want it to be interesting, you know, and the physics system allows things like that very easily.
Have you guys been able to effectively test as you go, so you don't run into problems from getting too ambitious and not realizing it until crunch time? You know, again, internal test server is up, guys. You know, if you have access to that, help break it. Really.
I also have the ability to spin up 300 clients with a single click of a mouse, so
Yeah.
that helps.
Yeah, Froggy, you know, Froggy found or Frog-Eye, I'm not sure how to say his name. He found a really great collision bug this morning, and we fixed it so that, you know, when I called everyone out, I would actually have the cred to call them out. So,
Yeah, I mean, we're experienced developers here. You know, we're definitely putting a priority on things. You know, we've done this before. Yes, we're trying audacious, ambitious things, and yeah, we might run into problems. But you know, this is kind of a calculated risk on our part.
is there any point in making the game that everyone else has already made, though?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, that's.
Or to channel Andrew, fuck no.
You know, I mean, you know, you look at some of the really big games out there. It's, you know, they have so many resources to throw at creating quests and, you know, creating graphics and all that. Like, we can't do their game better. We have to do something that is. We have to do something that is different. You know, and find our own special little niche of special people.
And as we discussed before, you know, it's been a conscious decision to really focus on the technology over any sort of, you know, flash graphical presentation and whatnot. You know, this is our main priority. You know, making sure the technology works, making sure cheaters can't cheat, making sure that the physics simulation works, making, you know, all this stuff. This is important to us. This is what we see as the core of our game, what makes our game unique and special.
And it's also part of the reason we're spending so many resources right now on the technology, on getting physics going and stuff like that. Graphics hasn't been our main focus. You know, getting the technology of the graphics in place, but getting the content, you know, building out the world hasn't been our focus because we want to hammer out the technology that's going to stuff like the physics that's going to allow us to produce cool gameplay and stop cheaters with one core piece of technology.
Fantasy Fireball, subject to gravity, or do they fly forever until they hit something? Again, you know, it depends on gameplay design, you know, choices, feedback. I mean, we could have fireballs that fly forever. We also have it so fireballs can travel in an arc and hit the ground. And
we have. Technically, we have both in there, and
Yeah.
we're going to have both kinds of spells and projectiles in the game.
Right.
I wanted to back up. I think it was Odolvik asked if a fully laden tank would sink in water or mud. Yes.
Will bridges have a weight limit with destructive results? The answer is we haven't decided yet. How's that for an answer?
Yeah. And we're building a technology, you know, but you know, as you've seen with a lot of the presentations, the design is still very much in flux. You know, we have some ideas for systems we want. We want a cool gameplay, obviously, but you know, it's going to evolve. You know, so we may have bridges with weight limits, you know, or we might decide that that's not fun.
Question. I love tech. Thank you so much for doing this stuff to your game.
Oh, that's a question.
Yes, definitely.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. If you block a fireball with your shield, will you get pushed back?
Depends on how heavy you are.
Yeah, depends on how heavy it is. Depends on whether the spell has a knockback effect
Right.
attached to it.
Right.
So
we could give, you know,
little at column A, little at column B.
yeah, we could give it the spell's physics property. You know, if you have like an earth, you know, instead of a fireball, say you have an earth ball, that will probably have mass and momentum and velocity that could push you back.
And so this goes to the recorded part of this we did before the Q&A. That was, you know, you could huck a fireball. Let's say that, you know, you can push somebody back based on how heavy they are, and you huck a fireball at a golem, and then you huck the same fireball at, you know, a Lutrapan. You're going to get different results, but it's not because of RNG. It's because of physics. That's why physics is cool.
Boats, boats, boats. Ducks, ducks, ducks. Boats are definitely a thing we do not have in the plan. Like, well, okay, you know, boats that you actually pilot with and sail around in, that's not in the plan for launch. More of a just travel system from one island to another that you can get into a boat that takes you there. But player-controlled boats are not in the plans for launch. I will not say that there will never be a Viking Mariner expansion or something like that, but I would not count on that one at launch.
Blood
But
runs.
I'd love to do it in the future.
Yeah. We don't have same realm collision when you're out of combat, so they cannot troll you in that way.
How will you prevent same? How will you prevent same faction trolls from using body blocking choke points if there is no way to move or kill them? That concern right now is why right now you do not collide with same faction. I'm not going to say we might turn some collision on within certain limited rules in specifically in combat, but we know all the trolls. Tim is a troll. What? Look at he's got green hair. Of course he's a troll.
Tim is master troll.
Andrew's face is a troll.
Oh.
Tim takes another point of damage.
Exactly. This is the reason why we give him the foam weapons.
Von Raloon about physics applying to crafting. Your question is more, I think, about strength than about weight. So it probably doesn't apply to a physics discussion.
Yeah, some sort of friendly fire. It's something we go back and forth on. It's obviously there is some interesting emergent stuff there, but at the same time we know exactly how much of a problem griefing can be, and also how much of a problem a same faction spy can be, and 99.9% of you are awesome, but the reality is that last 0.1% can do so much to ruin the game for everyone else that we have to make a lot of design decisions assuming the worst.
Right.
And so we do.
Right.
But
especially in a highly competitive game, we realize that there's going to be people that are going to work the system to get any advantage possible. And part of our job is to kind of keep an eye out for that. Again, Tim is a master troll. I'm a griefer. Andrew is Andrew.
and what?
I'm just saying you're your own class. But we've played these games before.
Most people say I have no class.
You're welcome. But we've played these games before. We understand this. We've abused these tactics before. We've seen these games. We've seen these tactics abused in our games before. We're definitely keeping an eye out for it. And again, going back to the testing, we have our internal testing server up 24/7 now. Get in there, test it, give feedback. As we're adding new mechanics, say, hey, I think maybe you can exploit this. Maybe this is going to cause problems.
Yeah.
Papa Coco, there is the possibility that there will be weapons that are too large for some of the smaller races to wield.
Yeah. Kawasha asks, there's a stat for movement speed and knockback. How do you balance that? How do you balance? How do you balance cast speed? How do you balance? Amount of mana. How do you balance strength? It gives us more knobs to turn, really.
Right.
So,
Right.
That's the exciting thing.
And and we just keep on tweaking it until people, either everybody says it's great or everybody's complaining equally, and then we know it's balanced.
Let's see.
Sensory overload from lots of things going on in the battle is more of a graphics and art thing and less of a physics thing.
Yeah, I know Cross definitely has a mentality that less is more, because he was there when Dayak was made. He goes way back, and he appreciates that while the giant anime sword explosion Knights of the Round Table thing is awesome when you're by yourself, if 200 people on a battlefield all do Knights of the Round at the same time. Yeah, if you haven't
Visual
played Final
noise
Fantasy VII, that's like the 30-minute long summon.
Right.
That's so less is more there. I think the battles themselves will be the epic thing, not individual effects within the battles.
Right.
would be any kind of physics technology used